So previously we talked about credit card use, disadvantages and advantages, and we looked at the credit card calculator, and hopefully it helped you to see the problem with paying credit cards off and just the kind of money you can end up spending on interest. In this video, we're going to finish things up and we're going to look at a specific bill and make sure we understand how they work. And this is something you'll have to be able to do on the test, so make sure you understand the different steps we're going to be doing here. So it says interest on credit cards, the average daily balance method, which is most common. In fact, I don't know of any other method that's ever been used on the credit cards I've had. So anyway, but this is what we're going to look at. So it says interest is calculated using the simple interest formula, which we know as I equals PRT. Now the principle here is going to be a little bit different. It's the average daily balance for the credit card. So in other words, in this problem we're going to be looking from May 1st to the 31st, and you owe a certain amount each of the days of the month. If you take the average of those 30 or 31 days, that's what you call your average daily balance. All right, so we're going to go ahead and show you how you can do it using a table. And but let's finish what I was saying here. The average daily balance is the sum of the unpaid balances for each day in the billing period divided by the number of days in the billing period. So that's just what we have here. All right, so that's what we're going to be using the table to help us do. Now let's look at example 1 here. The issuer of a particular Visa card calculates interest using the average daily balance method. We won't do any other methods, so you can assume it'll be this method. The monthly interest rate is 1.3% of the average daily balance. Now keep in mind that's just 1 month's interest. If you multiply that number by 12, you'll actually see what the interest is per year, which is what we usually quote. The following transactions occur during the May 1st through May 31st billing period. So what we're looking at here. So in A it says find the average daily balance for the billing period, round to the nearest cent. All right. So here's how we're going to do this. So first of all, you want to look at the first day of the month, which is May 1st, which we can see right here. Oops. And I'm going to go ahead and put that date into the table. The question is, what was the balance from May 1st until our next day of activity, which is May the 8th? Well, our balance was $13.50. That's the balance from the previous month. So the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, that's 7 days, our balance was $1,350. So let's go ahead and put a 7 in here. Now notice 8 minus 1 gives you 7, so we may have an easier way to do that other than just counting them off. Now let's look at May 2nd. So on May 2nd, our balance changes. We're going to take the $13.50 that we owe and notice the $250 credit. That's our payment from when we got our previous bill. All right, so we're going to subtract $250, so we're going to owe less. It's $1,100. Now, how many days will we be at that balance? Well, the next activity occurs on May 10th. So the 8th and the 9th, or 2 days, which we can also see as 10 minus 8 here. All right, let's move on. So on May the 10th, notice we buy some airline tickets. So we're going to take our previous balance of $1,100 and we're going to add $375. So when you do that, you get $1,475. Now how long will we be at that balance? Well, the next activity occurs on May 20th. And so again, 20 minus 10 is 10 days. If you want, you can count them off. There's 10 days that you're at that balance. All right, our next activity Well, let's go ahead and go to May 20th. And on May 20th, we purchased some books. So we're going to take our balance of $14.75. We're going to add $57.50 for the books, which means our new balance is $1532.50. That's what we're going to owe on May 20th. And from the 20th to the 28th, and well, things change on the 28th. So if you count it off, it's 7 days or 8 days. So you can do 28 minus 20, and you get 8 there. All right. So finally, the last activity occurs on May 28th. And notice, so May 28th, on that day, we add another charge. So we're going to take our $1532.50 and we're going to add $65.30. And so our new balance is $1,597.80. Now it's this last charge that you've got to be a little more careful counting your days. The balance is going to be at this amount on the 28th, the 29th, and the 31st. That's actually 3 days. So if you subtract 31 minus 28, let's see, why is that not working the way I was thinking? It's not 4 days, I'm sorry. You're going to owe that the 28th, the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st. So it's actually 4 days. So be careful on this last one. You're not going to subtract the last two numbers here, where you have the last day of activity and the last day of the billing period. It ends up being one more than what you might guess if you follow the same pattern we were using before. So now remember, there's 31 days in the month, so these numbers should add up to 31, and they do. All right, so here's the thing. Remember, what we're really doing is we're taking the average balance, we're taking the average of all the balances for the 31 days of the month. So we could add $13.50 7 times, but instead we just use multiplication. We do 7 times $13.50, and so if you added 7 of those $13.50s, you would get $9,450. And we'll do the same thing for the other balances. So it'll be 2 times 1,100, which gives you 2,200. And if you multiply 10 times 1475, you get 14,750. If you multiply 8 times 1532.50, you'll get 12,260. And finally, 4 days times $15,097.80 gives us $6,391.20. So again, if you had added up all the numbers for 31 days, you would get the sum of these numbers. And so our total, if you add these up, is $45,051.20. So if you added 7 of these, 2 of these, 14 of these, 8 of these, and 4 of these, you would get the $45,051.21. That's the idea here. And so now the average daily balance is going to equal that number divided by the number of days, which we said is 31. And so our average daily balance is $1,453.26, which makes sense. You can see we're higher during part of the month and we're lower during part of the month, and our average daily balance is somewhere in between there. Now on B it says find the interest to be paid on June 1st, the next billing date, round to the nearest cent. All right, so the interest, we were told, is 1.3% of the average daily balance. So it's 0.013 times $1,453.26. So you'll get $18.89. So $18.89. Now again, I would just remind you that if you multiply 1.3 by 12, this credit card actually has an interest rate of 15.6%, but we're paying 1 month's interest, which is actually 1.3%. And so our interest that we're being charged for this month is $18.89. Now, C is actually on the next slide, but I'm going to go ahead and do it here just because we've got everything we need right here. So for C, we're supposed to find the balance due. Well, think about what we owed at the end of the month. That was this $1597.80. Plus we have to add the interest for the month, which was $18.89. And so our new balance is going to be $1,616.69. All right, so let's go ahead and move on and wrap this up. So we already answered C. Now on D it says this credit card requires a 10% minimum monthly payment, a $10 minimum monthly payment if the balance due at the end of the billing period is less than $360. Well, that's not us. Otherwise, the minimum monthly payment is 1/36th of the balance due at the end of the billing period. By the way, I believe that's a little over 2%. Rounded up to the nearest whole dollar. So let's go ahead and take 1/36th of the balance that's due, $1,616.69. When you multiply there, you get $44.91, but we're supposed to round to the nearest whole dollar, and so we get $45. All right, and that's the end of this video.